So this week's topic is about the eating disorder. So let's get started. We all know what an eating disorder is, okay? But did you know there's not only the two ones that we hear most of the time? There is anorexia and bulimia. And much of the times, all the types of eating disorders don't even go through our heads, and we don't know about it. We might know someone who has one, and we don't know that person has one because you just don't know about the eating disorder. That person doesn't know about him. So today we're gonna talk about a little bit the eating disorders, the 6 ones, the most recognized ones, and what an eating disorder is, some facts about it, what can cause them, and how we can help, and some of that. Okay, so what is an eating disorder? First of all, an eating disorder is a mental issue, a mental illness. It is treatable, but could be really dangerous. Eating disorder is something that is not for choice. You don't decide to have one. You can have one in any phase of your life. Maybe for stress, maybe for you have some trouble at home, the teenage, something like that. There are 3 official categories for eating disorder, like anorexia nervosa, bulimia nervosa, known only as anorexia and bulimia, and the eating disorders not otherwise specified, knowing just only as ethnos, that includes many types of eating disorder and that. Okay. So let's talk about the ones who are most heard, like the 6th one most heard about it. We started as anorexia nervosa, with anorexia nervosa known only as anorexia. So anorexia nervosa is like the most known one, and it is like only just stop eating. That's all about anorexia nervosa. You stop eating, and the people with anorexia nervosa, they just see themselves with overweight, even they're just so thin, even they're just so underweight, they're always gonna see themselves with overweight. That's why they stop eating. That's why they have issues, and they constantly have the tendency of avoid eating to some types of foods, like the ones who have more I don't know how to say it. Grasa. But it's like that, like the ones who have more, they start to count the calories of them, and the symptoms is being obviously underweight for your age and your height. Very restrict eating partners, a fear, like a really intense fear of weight, for starting to weight, and being always thin, like you have to see yourself that you are thinner than yesterday or before yesterday. They most of the time have an obsessive compulsive symptoms, and they don't eat at public. You have 2 subtypes of eating for anorexia. There is being eaten and purging. These 2 cause anorexia, but anorexia is only just that you don't eat at all. Then we have the bulimia nervosa, known as bulimia. The bulimia nervosa is another known eating disorder, and just like the anorexia, bulimia tends to develop in teenagers, and mostly in women. Women teenagers mostly develops eating disorders, But bulimia is about frequently eat, and usually people with bulimia frequently eat unusually large amount of food in a relatively short period, and they purge them. That's why it can happen with any type of food. Doesn't matter. After people with bulimia consume the amount they consume of food, they start to count the calories of what they consume, and they vomit, and or do a lot of exercise so they can burn the calories that they just eat. The symptoms are very similar as the ones who has the binge eating or purging subtypes of anorexia nervosa. That must be, that's right. And then we have the binge eating disorder. There was only officially recognized as an eating disorder very recently. It was 3 years ago, there was this eating disorder recognized, and there is a subtype for anorexia, and same, it's started to develop with women teenagers, but also can be men, but most of the times women teenagers, the similar symptoms and blah blah blah. And then we have pica. There's an eating disorder that it does not include food. That's why we start with things that you don't include food, and can happen most of the time. It's happening with children. So it's really hard if you eating their t-shirt or their hair or their nails. That's why. Then we have rumination disorder. The ones who have it's happened with children. It's really similar as the last one. And avoid or restricted food intakes. That is the one you must know, but you don't know what the name is. And it's about don't eat. Almost es anorexia, pues. Okay. Eating disorder, after everything that you hear, after everything that you see, I have to ask you. You might think, you probably might have 2 or 3 people that you seem like, okay, maybe they have an eating disorder. But, so I invite you to talk to them, to help them put aside one, and invite you to reflect on and ask to yourself, could I have an eating disorder?